Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of But Am I Wrong? And Melissa, are we ever wrong?
Meghan, that would be a no.
Survey says incorrect. You know what I forget every year when Halloween comes? Really what the true meaning of Halloween is for me, which is
Steve Harvey memes.
Steve Harvey costumes. As many Steve Harvey and like my algorithm knows every year they go, you know what could get you could use a little giggle? Throw you a Steve Harvey. Did you see the one who did a death drop in the Steve Harvey costume?
Yes.
I was like, you're about to break both of your kneecaps and your back.
I will say that this holiday season, this of Halloween, which I meant to talk to, but we haven't recorded since then, was like the costumes were phenomenal.
Who was your favorite?
I just saw a lot of cool stuff. I did really like what you did too.
Thank you so much. I felt a little, it was nice to know who was in solidarity with the strike. I would like to shout out Florence Pugh, who dressed as Guy Fieri amongst all of these other actors who are being characters from struck productions and TV shows and movies. And she's in the background just Guy Fieriing it out.
Looking great.
I loved it. I loved it. I feel like we said this before, I'm in my new Halloween era. Like I want to be Halloween. Kiki doing life size.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
I still haven't seen it, but I understood it.
It wasn't SAG compliant, but have said, and I will always say that I hold different expectations to people who I love.
One of my friends, which I didn't get to go to the party, but they had a party that was like Disney movie type thing. And they're an actor, and mostly everybody there was an actor, and they were all posting pictures. And I was like, what are y'all doing?
I think it's because like on a technicality, it's not breaking like it's it's because it's not you're not saying hey go see this movie. You're not showing a picture of the like, and people didn't do side by sides with like the what they're recreating. So I was like, oh okay, I guess I think that's probably why. But I'm such a rule.
Me too.
I'm such a fucking rule follower.
Me too.
Unless I don't like the rules, but like if I'm like not sure and I like can't talk, like I'm like, what do you mean you're breaking the rules? Except for Harry Potter. I constantly am so upset that boy is sticking to all of these rules. And I'm like, break the rules. Voldemort is out for your fucking neck. Work smarter. So
I thought you meant somebody dressing up as Harry Potter at first. And so it was a little bit lost, but I get you now.
Yeah, it's just because I've been watching the movies and he's like always being like so honest and truthful. And I'm like, stop. Like, people want you dead. Like, I need you to be a little shadier. Drives me crazy. Well, now that we didn't do our Halloween costume, we've just been like racking up ideas. So we have them for next year.
We should buy now.
We should by now. Well, I guess we should explain a bit about more what the show is. We've got 3 segments. We'll get into them when we get into them, each of them before, so you don't have to remember too much. But one of our favorite parts about the show, it is not just us talking. I mean, it is just us talking here, but we have a component where you participate, the audience. You get to vote on who you think was wrong in each segment that we talk about. And that is over on our Instagram story. And was the last episode very, very late? Of course it was. But hey, we'll ease back into it. Okay. I'm going to get a Z-Pack and it'll be good.
But it was also very late posting the episode because I felt like it was on my death. Actually, I've been worse sick before. So no, I'll take that back.
Do you see Jamila posted that she's a cold and she was like, what the fuck is up with these new colds? Like these colds are steroided out. Like this isn't like it's what
because our immune systems are shot.
Yeah. Like it's crazy that you and I both, the last 2 times we got colds, we got nasty sinus infections, just like immediately right off the bat. And it's like, usually I would get a sinus infection if I like tried to live through a cold, like if I just like ignored being sick and it was like, oh no, very quickly, we're just going straight to infection.
Yeah. But I'm here. I still have, my throat is still a little scratchy. Well, it's not scratchy anymore. It's just phlegm and coughing. That's
and
still
tickly
going on.
for the cough.
But other than that, I feel fine.
Well, I'm glad you're starting to feel better. And we are recording this episode virtually if you cannot tell. If you can tell, maybe that's because you're on Patreon and you're watching the video version, which join us. Do that. We also do live streams twice a month. But we will eventually be in person. So don't you all worry. We will be reunited. Also, so much world has happened since when I was coming up with all the things to talk about, I was like, God damn, there are so many options, so many things. There are things I wrote down to talk about for this podcast that I'm like, I don't even remember what this was. Like we've moved on as a society from this.
I know I prepped for the last episode, but I don't know where any of my stuff is for it. So I was like, I guess I'm starting over.
Hey, sometimes it happens. Life moves on so fast.
Yeah.
So first we have But Am I Wrong, where we each pitch a hot take, a rant, or something happening in our life that we want to know. Ask the other person, am I wrong about this? Or am I wrong? And am I in the wrong? So I have a hot-ish take. I would say it's probably more of a lukewarm take. I think a lot of people also have this take. And that is celebrities need to stop cosplaying as minimum wage employees for promotional campaigns.
Okay.
And I want to issue a caveat because I'm not coming for Lana Del Rey. I just want everyone to know that because Lana Del Rey went to go work at Waffle House, not promote, like just for fun. Like went to have a good, like didn't bring a camera crew.
Used to work at.
Yeah, and didn't bring a camera crew. Went with friends, and then people were taking pictures. That is very different than when Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio and her family go to Walmart. They put on vests and they pretend to stock the shelves with security blocking off the aisles. And then they check out people with their groceries and they're like laughing and making jokes, being like, haha, like, look at me. Like, I work at Walmart now. LOL. Like, just stop. Just don't do this. It is just fucking weird mood. Like, it's, if you want to do like a fun meet and greet at like the store that you are going to, like, I think if you did a collaboration with a brand that is at Sephora and you went to work as a Sephora makeup artist for a day and you had people come in and you attempted to do their makeup and it was good or bad, that is fine. That is totally fine. That is people know they're showing up for that. They're signing up for it. Like, but it's not just being like, look at me stacking boxes in the break room. Like, we all know that you don't actually work here. And like the fact that you think it's funny to work this job is that's fucked up. And this is all because they have like a brand of like popcorn or some shit. I just think it's tacky. Cause like, again, I think that having random design, like, so for me, for example, I went to C's to pick up some candy for a gift for someone. And I walked in with Mott's and I was like, this as a child, this was my dream. I wanted to work at C's. Like, I'm obsessed. Every time I'm in C's, I'm asking people, I'm like, do you like working? And they're like, oh, it's great. I'm like, so like, what's your favorite thing? Like, I just love it. Like, and I've always loved C's. I've always wanted to be a Christmas elf at the fucking mall Santa. Like, there are certain things where it's like, you've got childhood dreams.
Elf in the world.
Sadly, that is when I knew I was growing right out of that. But like, you can have those like things that you like attach onto from childhood or whatever it is that you like love that are whatever job positions they are. And if you have like the money and the access to be able to engage with that and participate in a way that not everybody else would opt in to do that and like have that not be your job and do that for free, go for it. Do that. But like, you should be paying people for their time for like indulging in your minimum wage worker fantasies. Like, you shouldn't be like taking away from the customer experience and also from the fucking employees who are not being paid to deal with your antics. They are just trying to do their job and go home.
That's so annoying. It
is. And like Trisha Paytas has like gone to, I don't know, Domino's or something like that. I saw this in a TikTok where people were talking about it. And again, like doing that kind of thing and opting in by being like, hi, I really love doing this thing. Can I come do is so different than being like, you know, it'd be a really great marketing campaign pretending we as two people who have never had like real jobs are going to do this and pretend this is our job. And I don't really fault them as much because they're young, but their parents, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Is their parents the one
on the reality show?
Hooked, you know?
No, that's the other one. That's Addison Rae's mom with the tattooed eyeliner.
Oh, thought they were the same person.
Actually, it might not be tattooed, but she just loves eyeliner.
Okay.
If it's not tattooed, that's actually like pretty impressive. She's got really impressive eyeliner skills.
Is Young Gravy still relevant? I haven't heard anything about him.
Was Young Gravy relevant?
I mean, he was just like that one song was hot on TikTok, and then
I didn't even know that was him until like, and I saw the video of him and I went, oh, Young Gravy made a like little cute little clip to that song. And I was like, that's a Young Gravy song. That's the music video. I'm like, oops.
Okay. I didn't know if I just moved away from that side of TikTok and didn't know.
I also wonder where is Jack Harlow a thing?
He has a song out right now that I actually like.
Really?
Yeah. And he's only let the snippet out of it. And it's like really good. And Black TikTok is calling it now like White Boy Winter because the white boys have been
Melissa,
making videos to it.
I didn't even know that was his song. I have heard the song. Because I've seen White Boy Winter. Yes. Melissa, that is a good song.
Yes. And he hasn't even let out the whole song yet.
Nope. I hope it doesn't disappoint.
I know.
That's actually so funny. Well, I already said my hot take. I was about to say it. I was like, mine is, and I was like, I already did mine.
Yeah, so. You're not wrong. I agree. And I didn't even know what you were talking about until you said that.
I'm glad I can expand your horizons of annoying things that TikTok creators do. And again, I blame their parents. I blame their parents for a lot.
All right. Well, here's mine. As Mariah Carey signaled at 9 p.m. Pacific time on October 31st, which is midnight on her coast. So the next day, November 1st, it's time. I will not even attempt to do her.
It's time.
You're nowhere close.
Well, first of all, not even going to get the note. I'm just saying we're just trying to get
I'm just saying, not even in the height.
Never.
You're here.
Never.
She's up here. So 'tis the holiday season. As most of us agree, it is Christmas. And then on the third Thursday is Thanksgiving. And then we're in Christmas again.
Yes.
And so Christmas time now. And with Christmas time or with any gift giving time, I feel like if you are a unmarried person, as I am, you are too. So this also counts.
I'm currently unmarried.
Right. And you are childless, you should still count as a child. And in this, I mean,
I don't even need to know what you mean, but I will let you continue because I'm here for it. I'm a baby. I'm just a baby.
I'm just a baby. Because, like, for example, my sisters who are younger than me, they have full families. So I buy everyone a gift, as I should, because it would be weird for me to give them a family gift unless it was just something they could all enjoy, like a television. But why would I do that? And they all get individual gifts. And I believe I should get an individual gift from everyone and not a gift from the family just because I don't have children. Then I should still be getting gifts. And they don't have to be bought gifts. They can be handmade gifts. Mm-hmm. You know, it could even be just like a little crayon drawing. But everyone should be getting gifts, giving me gifts. My parents, they do this. They get me, because my sisters each have 3 children. I get the sum total of everything that they get for their families.
Wow, great
I get
parenting.
that sum total for myself.
No, that's fire parenting.
And I just want to bestow that upon everyone else.
Well, it's also a thank you because you helped raise those kids.
Yes.
Like your siblings. Like, and so like, they have to pay it forward.
On Aunt Day, they send me, presents. Like Airlight was going to give me like something on Mother's Day. And I was like, I don't want it. I'm not a mother. You can send me on Auntie Day. And like, they'll send me things. But I just want, if you were unwed and childless, you should be getting the equivalent of everyone else.
I love that. I think that's very fun. I don't disagree with that sentiment at all. And I have to say, like, one of my favorite things is like, if I get past the age where my nephew stops making me like birthday cards with that he's like drawn or his mom has drawn and he's colored in, like, I'll be devastated. Like, that's so not like, I love, like, throw that in there with my, and then your parents can get me something, then they give me something else. But like, you can draw. I've seen you.
Right. My nephew who is 12, he's still... Yeah, 12.
You get a short film made for you that you could get some creative fucking gifts from those kids.
But he's still like he'll call me and like I just he's like might be the sweetest out of all of them when it comes to stuff. So him and him and Audrey might be in a tie. She's getting in that age now where she's too cool for school. Amaya's already, even though they're the same age, Amaya's already been there, but Audrey's getting into that.
She is very cool, sadly.
She is cool, but it's
heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as someone who when we had trick-or-treaters, one of them was like, "Oh my god, you have the best candy." I was like, "Oh, thank," and he's like, "Thank you so much, ma'am." And I was like, "And why'd you throw the ma'am on there?" Like, ugh, I was so happy, and then it was like, "Ma'am," and I'm like, "Sir, you're like almost my height. Like, come on."
I'm from the South, though. As soon as you're like 18, it's ma'am. Like out of respect.
I know. I think I think it has to be a cultural thing because even like Mott's was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Did they do that in Denver?" Like, that is so like, I called my teachers by their first name until I went to middle school, and then I had a hard time figuring that out because like we would just call our teachers by their first name. So like, or a nickname. So like we had one teacher who had a doctorate who we called Doc, and like that was like what he was called. Like, and so it's like very odd to me, but yeah, there is that age where they become too cool.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, presents, multiple presents, give them to me.
It's a great call. And I will always support you.
Thank you. And I believe in the same for you too.
I love that. I absolutely love it. I will say though, I did fucking love when Mott's and I moved in together, and like, we probably did before we moved in together. Well, we moved in together kind of like less than a year into dating, but we were friends for a very long time. And I want anyone to be like, "I should move in with someone less than a year." Don't do it unless you're really close.
Y'all knew each other for a while.
Yeah. And we got to a point where I think it was after we started living together when we started doing Christmas gifts from both of us together to family and stuff. And I was like, this is just going to be a hell of a lot fucking easier than like us trying to get different things off of their lists and like have it be separate. Like, this just makes no sense. So I want to be able to do group gifts from us to people, but like, I don't want to be on the receiving end of that, especially if it's people you would otherwise get separate gifts for.
Yeah.
I'm getting separate gifts for, again, like kids, people who would want different things, but like, unless it benefits both of you. So you're not wrong.
Thank you.
Shall we take a break before we get into the next segment?
Let's do it.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back. And what segment is this, Melissa?
This is But Are You Wrong? And this is when y'all write in with your predicaments that you have going on in your life, and then We judge accordingly.
Exactly. To send those, you can email us at butamiwrongpod@gmail.com, 300 words or less. And we ask that you include your No, we don't. We ask that you include your age. You can include your pronouns if you would like. It is all anonymous. And oh shit, I forgot to I think that the person who did this week's episode of But Am I Wrong? This week's episode of Don't Blame Me about people named Carl and Lindsay. I think those are people from a TV show.
What show?
I think it's Summer House. I think it got suggested to me because I was watching Bravo con clips about Tom, like Scandal.
You're correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say the fans at BravoCon came in hot. As I'm on the Real Housewives subreddit, fans were getting up and asking questions, the questions that Andy should be asking at reunions, and pissing folks on the stage off. Like, they came prepared with the like comebacks and everything. So I would like to applaud everyone. People were putting clips up on the Reddit, and it was beautiful.
I want to see some of those. I've seen a couple clips. I saw someone who was like had a question for Garcelle and said like, as a white man, and they're all like, and he's like, no, it's fine, I swear, like it's fine. And then basically said like, thank you for having that conversation with Kyle something, and about was like it's like I understand like systemic racism, and like you've carried so much on your back of this show, and like you don't have to do all of this stuff that you do, and like just know that like you are changing hearts and minds and like reaching people who think that they think they understand, but like I didn't understand. I realize now I didn't understand until that moment, and so like I'm just like really grateful for like what you've done, not only to this show but like the whole franchise. And they were all like, great. They were all shocked because when you start with as a white man, and Garcelle's like, what do you got to say? I don't say it. What? And they're like, he's like, no, it's fine, I swear. And everyone's like, and then they were like, oh,
we
actually,
still don't
that
trust you. Yeah, you got go ahead and say that. You might get tomatoed, but
try.
Yeah. All right, you're up.
Okay. Am I wrong for asking an older man in his 60s if the seat he was in was what he booked? I'm 27 female, and I was on a flight, and I had an empty row, and it was nearing the end of boarding. The man in question had boarded with his family a few minutes earlier. I started getting excited because I have an entire row empty, and it's a night flight, so I was excited to sleep. After a bit, he suddenly comes and plops down in the aisle seat in my row on top of the blanket and without putting his seatbelt on. The entire time, he's peering down the aisle, so I eventually say, "Sir, is this your assigned seat?" He just says a non-answer, and his wife says something to him in their native language. And I push and say, "Oh, I saw you come from behind. Is this your seat?" And he still gives me a non-answer, like a not confident yes or no. So I finally say, "Is this the seat you booked?" And he says, "Okay, I'll go back to my seat." So am I wrong for making this man move back to his original seat? I didn't book the row, but I did get lucky and happened to book a seat with the row that ended up being unoccupied. I also felt like I was a young woman traveling alone, and he thought I wouldn't say anything and let him share the row. Thoughts? I felt like a bad person in the moment, especially with a family in the seats surrounding me. Truthfully, I would not have said something, but that's because, like, I don't think that you're necessarily in the wrong for saying something, but if there is an empty seat, he could have also just asked a flight attendant and they would have let him move to that seat.
That's my thoughts exactly. If it's not your seat, then like you don't have to ask about it.
Yeah.
It's like one thing if like somebody's in your seat, but like you didn't book, like you said, you didn't book the whole row. You're not entitled to the whole row. And it seems like he didn't even speak English, so he didn't understand. His wife had to translate. Is that like what happened?
It seems like the wife was only speaking their native language, so it might have just been like not being very clear or understand. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you would have asked the flight attendant, they would have been like, yeah, go ahead and sit there. And so maybe he didn't, like, you just didn't know to ask the flight attendant. But like, yeah, you not entitled to the whole row. So if he wanted to sit there, then I think it's fine. I mean, I think that you were in, I wouldn't say like the wrong, like, no, but it just wasn't like I don't think you really had anything to stand on, because if you would have asked the flight attendant, they would have let him sit there.
Yeah. And I think like if it was that there was a lot of room on the flight and like he specifically was trying to come sit next to you, like that's when I would have reached out to like the flight attendant and asked them about that. But solving things between passengers in that instance there, like I always just like weigh it on the side of like, if someone's like sitting in my seat and trying to get me to move, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to get the flight attendant over here and they're going to come get you to move. And so in this instance, it's one of those things where he could have gotten the flight attendant there and I probably wouldn't have said anything because I would have felt silly if then afterwards he then went and got the flight attendant and sat back there and I would have been like, oh, this is hella fucking awkward. But, you know, it's just one of those things that I'm glad that you asked him and he left and then you had the whole road to yourself. But I just think that I would maybe count this as a singular win and don't test your luck the next time. Yeah. If it happens.
Yep. Agree.
Sometimes I think about like if you booked the middle seat, that would be like if you're empty on a middle seat, then you then would be more likely to be able to have that whole row there because people don't want, there's no gap in between you and anyone else. And so if there's space, they're not going to sit there.
Before they cut down on the flights that go directly to Arkansas, there used to be like 3 that left out in a day and now there's just 1 and my flight would be empty all the time. Like sometimes I would be one of 2 people on the entire plane and it was great.
Yeah. I always have a hard time with like pushing my luck in the sense of like cosmically, I think like I'm going to let this one slide because then I'm going to be paid back better the next time around. And that's also just, I don't even know if it's a belief system, but that's also just like a personal thing that like I'm constantly looking out for future me and making those decisions there. But I also like admire the boldness because I would have never done that, but I would have wanted to do that. And then the whole time, the whole fucking flight, I would have been like, God, I really wish I had fucking asked him to move. Yeah. You know? So.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Hi, Queens. I'm 25-year-old she, her. My best friend Midge, also 25, invited me to a Halloween party from her work. We both have been really excited about the party since September and we were planning our matching outfits. But then Midge told me she also invited her boyfriend Joel, and now they go with matching costumes. I was like, okay, it's fine. I don't really mind third wheeling, but I was kind of sad for our matching costumes. I don't like Joel. He has cheated a few times. Honestly, he fucking sucks. Midge asked me what costume I was going to wear. I told her I wanted to be Fleabag from the TV show. It was one of our favorites, and she responded, yes, I can be the priest. I asked, aren't you going to match with Joel? She responded, I'm not sure. He said he doesn't feel like going to the party. So I sent her a picture of matching costumes for Fleabag, and she said, I love them. Next day, she sends me a picture of her using a dress just like the one Fleabag wears and said she's going as Fleabag with Joel. I'm really hurt and sad because I wanted to wear that costume. I told her I'm not going to the party anymore. We are best friends since elementary school. We had never had any problems till now. So am I wrong for not going to the party, or is she wrong for stealing my costume idea and wearing it with her boyfriend? She's 100% in the wrong.
This to me is like punishable by like jail time surrounded by crocodiles. Like to me, this is like the most this is like, I'm more hurt by this than if you slapped me across the face and called me ugly. Like this to me is like so fucked up.
This is so mean.
It's so mean.
Like, why would you do that? She knew what you were going as, and then she was going to dress as the priest. Like, that would have been a better costume anyway.
This is like TV show villain shit. Like, this is not your best friend. Like, this is like one of the meanest things I've heard.
Yes. I think you still should have gone to the party and like...
in a better version.
Yeah, and done a better version, or gone as maybe her. What would be a good costume to go? What was that? Didn't she have some weird animal? Like, no, I mean from Fleabag. Yeah, like something that would like be rude to Fleabag.
Her sister maybe.
I was thinking the sister, but the sister was such a she got on my nerves. Yeah, just something fun, like more fun. But yeah, that was awful. I'm pissed. I feel like you should do. I'm gonna create this survey that I said I'm gonna create, this friendship survey, and see, are there other instances in life where you've noticed things and you've kind of just swept them under the rug? Because this is evil. Like, this is just so mean.
Yeah. No, this is someone like stealing your effort to preemptively steal your joy. Like, it's stealing the effort you put into something that makes you excited, that you like, because they enjoy robbing you. Not only like being lazy and like, it just feels like she's taking She wants to ride on the effort that you have done while, like, you cannot ignore, especially someone who's your best friend. That I don't think comes from a place of pure laziness of just taking the effort that someone else has put in to reap the rewards, because you are friends with them. So you also then see their disappointment and you know that hurts them deeply. So like, that is like, you're cool with that. Yeah. This is like royally fucked. And I think Melissa's right. I think if you think back, you will have other instances in which you've been forced to take second place or robbed of things that you care about and have worked hard for, and that she just gets to benefit from instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hate it. I also, not to add a romance there, but I have to say Friends dressing up as Fleabag and the priest, it's a little more than Friends there.
I was thinking that, but
just saying.
Forbidden love.
Just saying. Oh, I love that fucking show.
Yeah, your friend sucks. They're wrong, and we're gonna take a break.
And we're back, and it's time for our final segment, which is called But Are They Wrong, aka Wrong of the Week, where we nominate the wote of the week. But in this case, we haven't done this in a while. So it could be the wote of last week or the week before, or the wote of the last 3 weeks. So there are so many options to choose from. And this is who we think deserves to wear the not I'm with stupid, but I'm the worst shirt. And we throw tomatoes at them. So I have picked one of my hyperfixations one of my news story hyperfixations of the last 3 weeks. And before I do this, I'm going to need you to repeat how to say this person's name, because you taught me how to say it right the first time. It's not Hassan Minhaj. It's Hassan Minhaj. Hassan? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Minhaj, yeah.
Minhaj. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And on September 15th, 2023, Clare Malone wrote an article for the New
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
New Yorker called Hassan Minhaj, Emotional Truths. And it's a quote for quote unquote emotional truths. In his stand-up specials, the former Patriot host often recounts harrowing experiences he's faced as an Asian American and Muslim American. Doesn't matter that much of it never happened to him. So when this article initially came out, I saw it was all over Twitter. It was all over everywhere, being essentially what the article claims. And why it's so insidious to me is because this is not investigative journalism. This is an interview with him, which then she comes to this. She has a preconceived idea of this and then uses this interview to prove that point, which is that he is lying in his specials. And this is all a fucking lie. And she, again, uses an interview with him conducted specifically for this piece to, quote unquote, prove that. And it went viral. Everybody was really upset, really disappointed. He was in the running for
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me was a no-brainer. I just assumed, you already... who else are you picking? This is who it's going to be. And it is, I don't think it's been officially confirmed, but it is highly likely that the reason he did not get that job is because of this article. And in this article, you can really hear the voice. And I don't have an issue with hearing a journalist's voice in an article, But I do have an issue hearing a journalist's voice in an article where it doesn't even really feel like it matches up to what he's saying. And so very quickly you can be like, this feels targeted and this feels racist because you're quoting what he said here. And then you're elaborating on that without the quotes there to lead me to this direction that I'm like, I don't think we ended up in this direction. And not only did we really not end up in this direction, but he made a YouTube video where he addressed everything essentially line by line. And she just straight up lied and misrepresented. And he like apologizes for certain things. And I do think like, you know, I think he felt like he had to apologize. I do find it a little bit fucking laughable because I'm like, do you think that comedians are telling the truth in all of their jokes and their specials? Most of the time, like that never happened. It happened to somebody they know, or they heard about it happening to someone they know, or something similar happened to someone, and then they change it and format it to fit with the theme. Because again, every stand-up show has a theme of what the point of the entire message is. And when there's a political and social component of that, that will be an even stronger theme to have things to directly tie to that, because he's not making just a point. Like, it's not like the men suck special and the through line is men. Like when you have your political and social commentary, it's a much more niche thing. So things have to align because you're trying to make people laugh. And then you're also trying to touch hearts and minds and to change people's opinions and to have them understand things more. So you have to be even more honed in on the meaning of all of these things. And it's timed. So essentially it all boiled down to basically most of the recaps of being like, this happened, but I made the timeline shorter. And the reason why I made this timeline happen here, where this thing happened in this exact moment, was because I needed people to feel the fear that I felt. And there is no natural lead up to fear, but you would feel fear if it happened in this instant. And that is the most comparable thing. So I picked it there. All of this is like what you do when you write a script. Like this is what you put the audience in your shoes and in that feeling there. And it is also what you do when you write an article. Like writers know that that's what your goal is. And you have to sometimes shorten timelines to make things make sense, or you have to heighten certain things so people can already have that sense of adrenaline rushing by the time something else happens. Like that's what timing is for. It's like the dun 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 before something jumps out in a horror movie. Like all of that is timed to get you to feel what you are watching on screen or what you are hearing from someone, what someone is saying. And the one that was one of the most egregious to me as a white woman, and this article is written by a white woman, is she implies, and not hardly implies, basically straight up says that he doxed his ex-girlfriend, and talking about a story about how he was taking her to prom, and on the day of prom, the girl he was taking, her mom was like, she can't go with you. We cannot take pictures. We can't have you in pictures. You're not white. Like, no. And he has been in communication with this girl there since they left school. Like basically what he says in the special is that, or what the quote is pulled for the article, which she says like, aha, this didn't actually happen, was he says we have like we have different life experiences with that, or like that affected us differently. We interpret that differently. And she meant the writer wanted you to take away from that what he meant was, we have different interpretations of the events that went down that night, which is not true. What he says, and he then lays literally like airing fucking clips of this recorded conversation with this journalist being like, she did not understand, as a white woman, she did not understand that this moment for me, that racist thing that her parents did stuck with me so much harder than she knew that it stuck with me. She thought this was kind of just a blip for me, and it wasn't. This was something that really lasted with me for a long time. And she came to his show, like he like let her know before the special came out, and he had suggested, like, there were a couple tweets that he was like, I would delete these, like it can tie you to, like, he really made sure. And she is emailing him back and forth being like, thank you so much, like really looking out. She was like, my friend saw your like special, like your show, I'm gonna come. She like they went to dinner, they have email correspondence to congratulate, like all of those things. And then they talk about her family in one of them, and about how she's saying that, you know, her parents have grown a lot because she is now married to, I think specifically an Indian man. And then she basically, and then the writer also assert like that her parents weren't racist. This was all made up. This didn't actually happen. And then in the email correspondence, which he offered to send the reporter, who said, I probably already have it. It's fine. I don't need it. Like, no, I've got it. It's fine. I've got it. In the email correspondence, the girl who he was supposed to take to prom mentions that her parents have grown a lot because she is now married to a not white man. And she now knows how much her parents have grown and how accepting they are of her marriage and their relationship. And he's like, I'm so happy to hear that. And this fucking writer ignores all of this. And the video that he made, like all of the fucking receipts, all of the emails, has had all of this. And it's not like spent the time collecting this as a rebuttal to the article. Had this for the interview, for the article. Didn't reference fucking any of it. And then she tweeted, once all of this came out, here's our official statement. I stand by the story and encourage people to read it in full. His video confirms that he selectively presents information and embellishes to make a point. Exactly what we reported. Our piece, which includes Minhaj's perspective at length, was carefully reported and fact-checked. It is based on interviews with more than 20 people, including former Patriot Act and Daily Show staffers, members of Minhaj's security team, and people who have been the subject of his stand-up work, including the former FBI informant, brother Eric, and the woman at the center of the prom rejection story. We stand by our story. And also, if I were any of the people she talked to, I would be so upset because she's also misrepresenting the relationship as essentially being like, she's implying that they don't like him and they're ratting him out when they've have not said that. And so she's just taking her thesis and whatever fucking scraps she can do to provide what that is, because she has a preconceived notion of what this article was going to be. And I'm just like, it's one of the worst pieces of journalism I've seen in regards to celebrity, but I think it has a much more sinister and deeper meaning of, wow, we can now just write articles from our point of view and say fuck it and say this is investigative journalism.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
I hate it too because, I mean, we've talked about Hassan before, like we're both fans of his. And when that came out, I just had a gut feeling that it just wasn't right, but like there's men that we've liked before that have disappointed us and we've had to go back and, say things. And
but there was something in our psyche that prevented us from going as far as we wanted to go with that man.
Yeah, that's true. I was like, there's just something not right based on what I've seen in his stand-up on Patriot Act, on the Daily Show. Like this just doesn't add up. Also, like the way that like he talks about his wife, the way his wife talks about him. It's like just something isn't right about this. And then like when he came back with like the recordings and stuff, I was like, gut felt right.
Yeah, no, as a white woman, my white woman senses were tingling. And I was like, this is one of my own. And this is so thinly veiled because the idea to come after a non-white man who's talking about racism, specifically talking about Islamophobia in his community, who was like, these stories are true of police officers accosting kids and taking, like, this is very true. To then just be like, I feel like you embellished a little bit of it. I'm like, bitch, we have our own fucking like the idea that this, regardless of what he embellished or what timelines he changed to make the point, none of it didn't happen. And so for her to make an article essentially being like, race, as a white woman, I'm going to say, I have an inkling that racism didn't actually happen to him in the same way that he says it does. I'm like, racism happened. Shut the fuck up. Like, just shut the fuck up. I didn't even read it in full until his thing came out because I was like, I didn't either. First paragraph and I went, I don't buy it. And the fact that she like downplays the fact that there was an envelope delivered to his house with white powder in it and they thought it was anthrax because his kid was right there. And like she downplays all of that. And it's like he was getting those threats. That did happen. He was getting all of these threats that were happening because he talked about, I don't know what he talked about, but I don't want to talk about it because shit happened to him when he started talking about it, like in political aspects. It's just like currently right now, what we really don't need is white women just downplaying the acts of violence, racism, and Islamophobia directed towards people who are the very few people who have the platform and are able and have the confidence and the protection and safety and money to speak on these atrocities, to be like, no, shut up. I'm like, ma'am, who are you working for?
Right.
Nasty.
All right. Mine's kind of in the same vein. It's about Central Park Karen, Amy Cooper.
Where? She's back?
Yes. So she had an essay that she put in Newsweek a couple days ago and says that her actions were driven by panic and vulnerability and blames the Black man she accosted for the incident. So if y'all don't remember, in May of 2020, after getting into a heated exchange with Christian Cooper, who, no relation, I know they have the same last name, but she was walking her dog in Central Park and didn't have it on a leash. And that is against the rules. So he told her to put the dog on the leash. And she said that she's been in fear of telling her own story until now because, quote, unrelenting, unforgivable weight of cancel culture. And she blames Christian Cooper for making the incident get to the point that it was at, because she said, quote, I was a female alone in a secluded area of Central Park with a man yelling at me and threatening me. As a victim in my she says, SA, in my teens, I was completely panicked for my safety and well-being. She was, again, not following the rules. He was just watching birds, and she was the one that escalated everything because she said in her essay that she dialed 911 only after Christian Cooper had taunted me to call the police, adding, there were never any racial implications to my words. I just saw raw fear and I desperately wanted help. However, it's all on video. We all saw it. All he's doing is asking her to put the dog on the leash, and she's the one that's screaming bloody murder, that he basically is hurting her, making her feel harmed in some way. And also, when she called the police, she said, a Black man is threatening my life. And she specifically used that word, a Black man, because she said that she hoped that would be enough to make Christian Cooper stop yelling. And keep in mind, this happened the same day that George Floyd incident happened. And so let's all note that Christian Cooper has since been hired by the National Geographic as the host of the bird watching series Extraordinary Birder with Christian Cooper. While Amy Cooper has lost her job at the investment bank firm Franklin Templeton and was briefly required to return her dog to the animal rescue because after the incident with Christian Cooper, she's seen jerking her pet around by its collar because she doesn't have it on a leash. And so she apologized in a public statement, but she was still charged with third-degree misdemeanor for filing a false police report. After receiving Amy Cooper's apology, Christian Cooper urged his supporters to err on the side of compassion. And now she is still saying that she's been forced into hiding and remains to be scared in public. And to that I say, good for you. I'm glad that you are scared to go out in public because you filed a false police report to it doesn't matter even if he was mean. He wasn't doing anything to endanger your life, and you were the one that was breaking the rules, and he asked you to follow the rules.
No, it's now that you say it, because I was gonna say from the outfit that he is wearing, in the video and wearing, and if you look him up, and also now that you've said this, it's Black Mr. Rogers. It is literally and I'm and now, when you said that he's got this bird watching show, I was like, this is literally that line. I'm like, ma'am, you wouldn't have done that on Tom Hanks. Let's be
right.
Be fucking real. Come on. And it doesn't sound like she spent the last 2 years listening and learning. Sounds like
no, not at all. She's just mad.
Also,
in the world.
I forgot about her in the sense of when you started, I was like, oh, is it a different one? I wouldn't know her name, and now I'm gonna remember her name because you made it my God, just allergic to accountability.
Mm-hmm. Who asked you to write this essay? You clearly did it for yourself, and you thought it was going to make you be in a better light, and you just came out worse than you already did.
Babe, no one's going to hire you even more. Now you've added on a couple extra, I'm sure you could have gotten hired. I mean, you could have gotten hired a lot of fucking places, but You really could have gotten hired from places that probably wouldn't have hired you 2 years ago. They would have hired you now. Now? No.
Yep.
It's like she wants people to know her name.
Yeah.
Because she's like, Karen, it's like the same people who think Karen is a slur.
She also is in that same thing. She said that Karen doesn't actually exist. Like, that's not a real statement, and she's not a Karen. I'm like, you just doubled down on being a Karen.
There's nothing more Karen for Newsweek. Nothing than going to Newsweek and being like, I wrote something. I want you to publish it. Have you ever seen that one video of the woman in Victoria's Secret who's like filming something losing her mind? I think she did something somewhat like made another, and it like researched, and everyone was like, why are you doing this? Like, people forgot about this. You're just like, you have to bring it back up.
Yep.
Well, fuck her. And this is the same thing I said about Chris Rock. I think people should think when they go outside, they could potentially be getting slapped or canceled. I think you should operate with life knowing that your actions could result in you being fired from your job or getting slapped across the face.
Because since he went around and doubled down on things that happened, and he said people are bringing up stuff from his past that nobody really knew about. So just shut up and go away.
There's power in being quiet. Does Brene Brown need to make an inspirational quote about that so people finally take it into account? Just like, shut up and just coast. Just like truly stop talking. Some people don't need to talk to a therapist.
Right.
Well, that is it for our episode. We hope you all enjoyed. And if you did, you can leave us a review in the podcast app, or you can interview. Oh my God, you can leave a review on the Spotify for the episode. And we have a Patreon where you can listen to the episodes ad-free. You can also watch the video version of the podcast and our other podcasts. And you can also join us for live streams that we do twice a month, where we hang out, have a fun time. We hee and we ha. And yeah. Oh, do you see that Sean Evans had a crush on Kiki? That's another one I was going to say.
Yes, it was funny.
So then the Kiki original video got pushed to everyone's algorithm. So all the top comments are like, who's here after Sean's crush? And then these social persons start reposting it, being like, Kiki. And I was like, oh my God, can you imagine if they I would. That's it. We hope you all enjoyed, and we will circle back next week. And don't forget to vote for the other ones.
Goodbye.
Bye. But Am I Wrong is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
And production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle, what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures?
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry,
Danielle, you win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go Network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Bitches on Comics is a bi-monthly interview podcast where we talk to the coolest LGBTQ plus folks and women in comics and pop culture.
Our unique perspectives and welcoming nature have earned us the honor of being named a Best Comic Book Podcast by Book Riot, Screen Rant, The Mary Sue, Comic Book Herald, and Comic Book Couples Counseling.
Bitches on Comics is hosted by moi, Monica Estrella Negra, filmmaker, writer, and co-founder of Audrey's Revenge Film.
And me, Essie Fleenor, comic and pop culture nerd and culture critic with writing in The Independent, Vice, Electric Literature, Star Trek, and so much more.
We're also both voting members of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ plus Entertainment Critics.
Join Bitches on Comics for in-depth, hilarious, and heartfelt conversations with the likes of Stephanie Williams, Leah Anderson, and the late, great Rachel Pollack.
Listen to Bitches on Comics on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or tune in at bitchesoncomics.com. New episodes every other Wednesday.